Now that your bot is connected to Facebook Messenger, we can do a couple of things to enhance your bot to take advantage of some of the features that are specific to Messenger to help in formatting your messages and to help your users navigate your bot a little bit easier. So let's take a look at how you can do that.
So here we are back in the Dexter tab, and I'm going to delete this section of my bot, the What's on Star part. And I'm going to put something a little fancier in there. And I'm going to get that up here in the Insert menu under Template and Generic Template for Facebook. Now you get a lot of code here. I am just going to publish this just as it is and show you what that default code looks like. So if I click on What's on Star, that's the trigger, all that code turns into this little module. So let's take a closer look at that. I'm going to go back to the Dexter code here and actually bring in that little module so we can compare the code with what we got. So there's the module, and you can see right here the title and Facebook generic sample title. You can see in the box where that shows up. There's the sample subtitle, that's there too. This URL is actually what you would go to if you clicked on the image. This is the image URL here, so that's the actual image for that big D. And then there are the buttons below. The postback one, which says Click Me, that's the name of the button. And it actually, this Click Me is actually a trigger name. So if I go and have a trigger called Click Me, then clicking on that Click Me button will actually get me to the trigger. This is the other button, View Website, and then the URL for that. This one happens to go to Run Dexter, and that URL is here. All right, so I want to make this a little bit more focused on my project. So I'm going to go ahead and change all of that information. So using that as a template, I'm going to change the title here to more about star. I'm going to actually have a little subhead here, and here I'm going to use the URL for the Wikipedia page for Star Island, so that makes sense. For the image, I have an image of the hotel there on Star Island, so I'm going to put the URL for that image. And then for the first button, I will change that button. Instead of saying click me, let's say tell me more. Of course, I'll need a trigger name here, tell me more, keeping it lowercase, and then adjust this trigger to tell me more, lowercase, don't forget. And let's just change this to be a little bit more relevant. Here we go. All right. Okay, back here. For this web link, I'm going to say wiki info, and again, use the Wikipedia page URL. So if I go back, type hi, and click on what's on star, and there it is. If I click on the Tell Me More link, I get the trigger response I expected. Facebook bots also typically start with get started instead of hi. So we're going to say get started as our first trigger. And then if we click on platforms at the top of the page and over here to edit the custom features, we can actually add a get started button to our bot so that new users will get a get started button. We won't get that because we're not a new user to our bot, but future people will get a get started button. That's really good. You can also go down here and edit the persistent menu. Let me show you that. I can add a little menu item here. I'm going to call it Get Help. And I'm going to route this to the help trigger. Remember, we have a help trigger in our script. It looks like that. You can add some others here. I'm just going to leave it with the get help, but there's a couple other slots that work for the menu. I'm going to save that. And if I go back to the bot over here, click there, and reload this page, you'll see now there's this little persistent menu down at the bottom, these 3 lines. People use that a lot, and if you click on that menu, you'll see Get Help, and you get our super helpful help trigger. So it worked.
Congratulations! You are now a bot making expert! Yay! Not only do you understand the basics of bot conversation and how to build that using Dexter, but you also know how to get those bots out into the world on a variety of different platforms. Here we used SMS texting and Facebook and Alexa, but there are a lot of other different platforms out there that you can get bots out onto. So congratulations for all of that. The basics that we talked about are just the building blocks. You obviously can go really deep into this. You can make very long, involved conversations. They can go off in many directions, or they can provide information to people using their voice or using texting or chatting. So there's so much that's possible, and we didn't even sort of touch on all of that. But you do have the basics for making that all happen. So go out and make bots for fun or for great profit. And if you do make some bots, let me know about it. I'd love to hear. You can drop me a note at jk@qz.com and send me a link. I'd love to play with them. So anyway, great work. Thanks so much for joining me in this course, and I hope you've enjoyed it.